Hey guys, how you doing? Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Nate. This is the Life Advice and Money channel, and today we're going to talk about 5 reasons why you are at least 20 years old or older and don't know anything about personal finance. Stick with me till the end of this video because I got 5 very important reasons why you might be in the same position as me and you won't know anything about personal finance. Reason number 1. It's not taught in schools. If you're like me, you probably went through middle school and high school and college without taking a single personal finance course. If you had the option to take one in high school, for example, it was probably just an elective class, and it was probably taught by someone who doesn't know a whole lot about investing or owning a business or anything of the sort. So if you were like me, you graduate from college with a degree, and you find yourself out in the real world, you might get your first job or whatever, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I don't know what to do with this money. What should I do with it? I'll just put it in a bank, right? Wrong. You don't know anything about personal finance, but it's okay because we're gonna figure this out together. All right, reason number 2, and this is an important one. You probably learned personal finance from your parents, and your parents probably learned it from their parents. It's a cycle, and if they're not in the top 5% of wealth in this country, let's be honest, they probably don't know that much about personal finance. My grandma worked 40 plus years in a factory, waking up at 4 in the morning, driving through snow in the mountains to go to work, just to pass away with enough money to pay for her funeral. That is a sad reality that a lot of us will experience in this country. My mom broke the cycle of poverty and was able to get a much higher paying job, but she never broke out of the same cycle of not knowing anything about money. She still continues to live paycheck to paycheck, which leads into my 3rd point, which we're going to talk about now. Reason number 3. Do you or somebody you know or love live paycheck to paycheck and you make a decent living? Most of you. Let's be honest. So let's say you have a job, right? And you get promoted, or you get a better job with a higher salary. Does your spending and your budget stay the same? No, of course it doesn't, right? You want a new car, you want a new house, you want the new clothes or whatever it is, right? So your spending is generally going to go up if you get paid more, right? Because buying things makes us feel good. So point number 3 is consumerism. Guys, listen. Consumerism affects all of us, especially in the United States. You can't go 10 feet in either direction in this country without being bombarded by an advertisement of some kind. You can't even sit in your own home and not get bombarded by commercials and advertisements on the internet or the TV, right? So what happens is you start getting more money, you start buying more things. There's always a new car to get. There's always a new house to buy, right? So you have all of these payments adding up. You have these liabilities adding up in your life. You get car payments, you get mortgage payments. Eventually you might have a kid. You get all of these expenditures adding up. And if your salary goes up, chances are your expenditures go up with that, right? So you never, ever, ever build up your asset column. What is an asset, Nate? An asset is something that will make you money, whether it's passively or it's the dead value of something that rises over time, right? That's an asset. Your house is not an asset. It's a liability. It's a mortgage payment. Things break. It's expenses all the time, whatever it is. And so when you deal with consumerism in this country, you're never able to make more money than what your salary is, right? And that's a trap that us as Americans will fall into so easily. Guys, together we're going to break the tradition in this country of money and personal finance being taboo. You can't talk about it, right? Reason number 4, personal finance is taboo. You can't go up to people and ask them like, hey Jim, how much money do you make? And then Jim's over here like, oh, I'm offended. How dare you? That's none of your business, right? Yeah, so who do you ask, right? Half the time, I don't even know how much my mom makes because it's an uncomfortable subject. She doesn't want to talk about it. I'm only just now, at the age that I am, starting to talk to her a little bit more about personal finance because, you know, I'm more interested in it and I care about her and we're trying to figure things out together. But generally, in this country and in most cultures around the world, is that it's a taboo subject. You're not allowed to talk about it, right? So we're going to change this. And we're going to change this by subscribing to the Life Advice and Money channel and liking this video because we're going to talk about this together. It's going to be a safe place where we can discuss personal finance. It's not going to be just me teaching you all the time. It's going to be me learning through this process with you guys. And you're going to learn from my mistakes and my successes. And together, we are going to take the money that we earn and we're going to learn how to invest it successfully so we can become financially independent, financially wealthy. We're going to do it together on this channel. All right, guys, point number 5. This one's probably the most frustrating one to me personally. Investing is gambling. What, Nate? Investing is gambling? No, of course investing is not gambling, but that's what everyone believes. I have been in arguments with my best friend about how investing in the stock market is gambling. Listen, it is gambling if you just throw your money at a random stock without following a very, procedural research to that stock, right? If you just throw your money at any stock, of course it's gambling because you don't know anything about the business. You don't know where it's been, you don't know where it's going, you don't know anything about its balance sheet. Of course it's gambling. Listen, I'll pick up my clipboard. Investing is not gambling. There's a risk to everything we do, sure, but you can minimize these risks by following the things I'm going to teach you on this channel. We're going to do it together. Like I said, you're going to learn from my mistakes and my failures. But at the end of the day, we're going to be so much better off than anyone else out there. I promise you. Investing is key. Guys, I really hope you got something out of this video. We talked about 5 reasons why you might not know anything about personal finance. We talked about how you didn't learn anything from school. We talked about how if you learned anything at all, it was from your parents. We talked about consumerism and living paycheck to paycheck. We talked about how the topic of personal finance in general is taboo to talk about, so it's really hard to find people to teach you at all. And lastly, we talked about how investing is considered gambling in this country. Guys, on the road, the journey to financial independence and wealth, you have to address these issues first. It's very important that you get these basic fundamentals down. You have to understand what you know about personal finance and where you learned it, and it's okay to be wrong, okay? It's very important that you get this down. It is the first step in the long road towards financial independence. Thank you so much for joining me on this video today. I want you, if you made it this far, to leave a comment down below about which of the 5 things we talked about today applies to you. It could be more than one, it could be none, maybe you know all kinds about stuff about personal finance, or maybe there's something extra that I didn't cover. I want you to leave a comment telling me more about what applies to you. Also, if you could subscribe to this channel or leave a like, it really, really helps us out, and I really hope to see you on the next video. Thanks, guys. Do you guys like my clipboard? I figured most financial channels on YouTube, they all have iPads and stuff. I just have a clipboard. I figured that's why you should subscribe to me, because I'm different.